Yeah, here's my ticket. I actually saw Their Finest. It was like a special kind of exclusive, like advanced screening courtesy of the Bar Film Festival, so I have to give massive thanks to them, because the Bar Film Festival is actually like an October, November time thing, but I guess this was kind of like an exclusive, like one-off kind of early screening or something. And the reason why it was this film is because this film is actually kind of an F rated or triple F rated, and what that is that it's triple female. It's a female writer. It was written by a female writer, it was directed by a female director, and it was starring a prominent female star in Gemma Arterton. And I didn't think that was a big deal. I heard about it just before I went to go and see the film. I didn't know initially that was the case, but then I was like, oh, that's really cool. I want to support this film even more so. But then just before the film started, the woman there kind of spoke a bit about the film before it started, and she said that rarely happens, you know, that we get a film that's written by a female, directed by a female, and starring a kind of prominent female figure in Gemma Arterton. Apparently that hardly ever happens, and the next time it happens is like Pitch Perfect 3 or something. Like, so I was like, wow. I just presume that, you know, it happens. You know, I know it's kind of a male-dominated industry, and it's pretty much all kind of, you know, white males directing films, but I didn't realise that was such a rarity, that we hardly ever get a film that was written, directed and starring kind of three prominent female figures. So, you know, I think this film deserves to be supported even more so just because of that. I mean, it wasn't a good film because of that. It was a good film, you know, just in general. It was really great. But the fact that it was written, directed and starring three prominent female figures, I think, and the fact that that hardly ever happens apparently, and it's a real rarity, I think this film really deserves to be supported because of that. So yeah, maybe I'll do a separate video talking about this more in depth, I don't know. Their Finest is a wartime romantic comedy drama that tells the story of a feisty, independent writer who is roped into writing a feature-length film to be shown to the people during the war to kind of inspire and uplift them. Directed by Lone Scherfig, the film stars Gemma Arterton, Claflin and Bill Nighy. Now, going to this film, I was looking forward to seeing it because I'd seen the trailer, and it's not usually the kind of film that I get excited to check out, but it was a British film. It's kind of, you know, funny, kind of quirky, comedy, drama, romance kind of film. That's not usually my cup of tea, but there was something about the trailer that intrigued me. I thought it looked like it could be a good, kind of fun, feel-good film. And I actually really enjoyed this film. I actually saw it almost 2 weeks back now. I was going to put a review out for it when I first saw it, but I've just been so busy with kind of work for university the past week or so, I just decided to crack on with my work. But now I thought I'd put out a review for it because the film's coming out this Friday, so I thought, you know, it's good timing to get a review out for it now. And yeah, I did actually want to do a review for this film because I did actually really like the film and I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. It's not one of the best films of the year or anything. It's not like, you know, I don't think it's going to be my top 10 best of the year or anything like that, but I did really enjoy this film. I did think it was, yeah, it was funny, it was refreshing, it was different, and I actually really enjoyed myself. Just a quick bit of backstory in the film if you're not aware what it's actually about. It's basically about this writer played by Gemma Arterton. She's a Welsh character, but she's living in London, and she gets kind of brought in to kind of write this kind of a feature film for, you know, this studio, and they want to put out a film to kind of help kind of uplift the people because obviously it's set during the war, and you know the spirits are very low, and they want to have these films out there that are going to kind of you know, they're going to be uplifting and inspiring for people. They're going to make them laugh and make them cry. It is a true story. This actually happened, and what I like most about this film is that it was essentially kind of a love letter to cinema in a way. I mean, it was literally all about kind of film and the power of cinema and how kind of films can help people get through tough times, you know, even if during the war, you know, very kind of, you know, hard times for these people, but then they see these films and it helps kind of lift their spirits, and they're uplifted and they're inspired, and they kind of, you know, and it's really kind of showed the kind of the power of cinema. And I think the film did a really great job at capturing that and showing how these people and these films can help people in a way, you know, how the films kind of got people through those tough times. And I thought it was really great. I loved the characters in this film. I think the cast, such a great cast in this film. It's almost like a greatest hits of kind of great British actors. Gemma Arterton in the lead role, she was really great. She actually was really good at doing a Welsh accent as well. That really surprised me. We were like, oh, is it going to be a little bit off-putting with the Welsh accent? Is that going to kind of suck me out of the film? But no, she did a really great job. And, you know, even though, you know, she's a recognisable face and you know who she is, you know, it didn't take long as I just, you know, forgot I was watching Gemma Arterton, and she kind of became that character, and I think she did a really great job at embodying that person and the kind of feistiness and kind of this spirit and determination within her, and how she kind of, you know, really captured that and put that across. And Sam Claflin, I love Sam Claflin in this film. I've been a fan of his. I think I first saw him in like the Pirates of the Caribbean film, the last Pirates of the Caribbean film. He's playing that religious guy who hooked up with a mermaid or something. I was like, but even though that I didn't love the film, I really liked him in that role. I thought he did a really great job, and I've been following him ever since. Obviously, he was Finnick, was it, in the Hunger Games? I thought he was really great in that. He was like my favourite character in that film. And yeah, he really kind of stood out and impressed me in this film. He's really kind of blossomed into a really great young actor. I think he did a really great job in this film. I didn't really embodying that character, but the one who stole the show, it had to be Bill Nighy. He just stole every scene he was in. He was such a perfect fit for the character he was playing in this film. I don't want to give too much away, but every time he popped up on screen, something happened and it just made you laugh. And that was another thing. This film was so funny. You know, it's not a full-blown comedy. It's more of a kind of romantic drama, wartime drama almost, but there's a lot of comedy in there. And it was so funny. It's probably one of the funniest films I've seen so far this year. And it was funny in a way that didn't feel forced. You know, it felt real. It felt natural and organic to the characters and the story and the situations they were in. And it was just really refreshing in that respect, because it's rare nowadays where you go and see a film and it feels like a throwback. It feels refreshing, it feels funny, different, like its own thing. You know, this is a standalone film, it's a true story film, you know, it's not part of a larger franchise or anything like that. And it was just so refreshing and so enjoyable to watch, because as I said, it was so funny, and so much of the comedy in this film came from Bill Nighy and his character. He was just really great, and it was so funny seeing him and his character interacting with the other characters in the film. I thought it was really good. And going back onto something I touched on earlier was the whole kind of cinema aspect of this film, and that it was almost like a film about films, because a big part of the story in this film is about them making this film during the war. So it's like a film about a film, you know, where it's like, it's great. I really enjoyed it in that respect, because I'm like a kind of amateur screenwriter, if you will, aspiring filmmaker, and it was really cool to see a film that's about writers and about filmmakers and about them making a film. It was so awesome to see that, because it's rare that you get to see that in a film, like a film about the making of a film. It was almost like Saving Mr. Banks in a way, and that was like a film about the making of Mary Poppins, and this was like a film about the making of the Nancy Starling, I think it was called. It was really cool to see that and see the people behind the scenes, how it all came to fruition, what was all going on there behind the making of the film, and how it all came together and how they all kind of worked together to make this film. And one of the things I really liked was that it was quite, and this surprised me, I didn't expect this to be the case, it was quite self-reflexive, is that the right term? It was quite self-referential. It was almost like aware itself. I mean, I'm not talking like breaking the fourth wall or anything, but in that these writers are kind of writing this film and we're like watching a film about the making of a film, and there's even certain occasions where it's like a film within a film within a film. It's like Inception or something, like where Gemma Arterton's writing a scene, or she's imagining how a conversation with Sam Claflin would have gone down differently, and she's writing it and imagining it, and we're seeing what it would have been like. And then it's great how we, you know, and then she's like envisioning as well when she's writing the film what it's going to look like in her head. And I just love little things like that. I don't know, it was really cool. It was like, it was almost kind of referencing itself as well, referencing the fact, like, it was aware of the fact that it was about a film, and that we know that you know, it's a true story about something that's happened, but we're seeing it in a kind of dramatized recreation in a film itself. So it's kind of like, it was kind of funny in that respect. It was kind of like, I mean, it wasn't a satire, but it was like aware of itself, self-referential almost. It's hard to really explain it, but of course if you haven't seen the film, but there's a line like when they're working out how things should go in the film that they're making, they're like, oh, it's a love triangle, it seems like a love triangle at the moment, hopefully we get it sorted out by Act 3, and that kind of references not just the film they're making, but the actual film we're watching itself. That's kind of happening in the film we're watching, and we don't know how it's going to happen between these three characters and how it's going to resolve at the end. And I love little things like that, little touches like that, where it's kind of, they're referencing the film they're making, but it's also referencing the film itself that we're watching, and I thought that was really cool. So yeah, overall I really enjoyed this film. There wasn't anything that I really disliked about it. Although it didn't blow my socks off. I didn't think it was absolutely amazing or anything. I suppose there was one thing that might have taken me out of the film a bit, and it might take a lot of audiences out of the film. There's some twists and turns along the way, and I like that because it did some things. It wasn't just a cliche kind of cookie cutter by the numbers film. There were some things that happened throughout this film that really kind of was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming, and I really liked the film for that. There's almost some kind of shocking kind of like hard hitting moments that you really don't expect or see coming, because it is set during the war and there's some bombings and some death and destruction and things that happen. So I'm glad they didn't shy away from that. So it was quite shocking and kind of intense in parts, but there was something that happened towards the end of the film that did feel like completely out of left field, and I get that's a true story and that probably is what happened in real life, but it just happened so quickly and it's so kind of quickly brushed over. It's like, whoa, well, okay, like it was almost going in one direction and suddenly it was going in this other direction, and I liked it in a way because it kind of reflected what real life is actually like. Sometimes it's not like a film. Real life isn't like a happy ending film all the time. It could be going one way and suddenly something kind of horrible happens, but it was kind of very kind of abrupt and very like, whoa, okay, and I think they were going for that, so in that respect it did succeed, but it did feel like it did take me out of it a little bit. I was like, oh, okay, well, okay, you're going that way, okay. And also there was kind of a subplot involving kind of Gemma Arterton and her not really husband that was back at home as an artist, and he didn't really get that much to do in the film. He was kind of relegated to the side, and I didn't mind that. He's not a big part of the story or anything, but they kept coming back to that every now and then. I don't know if that was really, I mean, it probably was necessary because it was a figure in her life and it was part of this love triangle almost. It's not really a love triangle because it's essentially between her and Sam Claflin, and then she's got this other guy at home who's not really that great of a guy. But that subplot involving him I don't think was handled very well. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it ruined the film or anything. I just, that was probably one of the weaker aspects of the film for me. So overall, as you may have figured, I did really enjoy Their Finest. As I said, it's not one of the best films of the year or anything, but I think it's a film that deserves to be supported because I thought it was a really great film and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very funny, it was emotional in parts, it was shocking in parts, it was dramatic, and I had a smile on my face the whole way through, and it was just such a breath of fresh air. And I think this is a film that deserves to be supported. I don't think it's going to do spectacularly at the box office. I hope it does. It will probably do quite well here in the UK because the British cast and it's a true story. But I think it's a film that deserves to be supported. I went in not that excited, I was interested, I wanted to check it out, but after I saw it I was like, I'm really glad I decided to see that film now, especially since it was essentially all about kind of writers and making a film, and I love that whole aspect to it. So I would definitely recommend seeing Their Finest when it comes out near you because I thought it was a really good time. I really enjoyed it, so I'm going to give Their Finest 4 stars. And there we have it, that wraps up my review of Their Finest. Have you seen the film yet? And if so, what do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you missed my last review, be sure to go ahead and click over here to watch my last film review, or perhaps down here to watch my newest instalment of my weekly show. And as always, if you like this and you haven't already, be sure to click subscribe to see more. But for now, I've been David O'Sullivan. I'll see you next time.